Right now, President Trump slamming the appeals court ruling on his travel ban, vowing to press on as a matter of national security when he said this.
It's a political decision, and we're going to see them in court, and I look forward to doing it.
So you believe the judges made a political
We have
decision?
a situation where the security of our country is at stake, and it's a very, very serious situation. So we look forward, as I just said, to seeing them in court.
So that was from last evening. Now, a bit earlier this morning, I spoke with Senator James Lankford out of Oklahoma. He serves on the Homeland Security Committee, the Government Affairs Committee, and the Intelligence Committee about all of this that's happening now. Senator, thank you for your time.
Glad to be with you, Bill.
Did the court get it right or not?
It seems like the court got offended is what it is. When you read through the actual 29-page ruling the court wrote out, they kept talking about not a strong argument from the government, but then they do this long, extensive statement that apparently the government attorney said they don't have the right to review this. So they spend lots of time saying, yes, we do have the right to review it. And then they push back on this one key thing. They say the government was trying to say national security and safety. The states were saying we need professors to come in from some of these locations, or maybe researchers, and so they were weighing whether it's better to have national security or better to have professors from these universities, and they come down on the side of the professors and the universities.
Okay,
it's a very unusual ruling.
I have some specific questions here. Do you believe a judge has the authority to rule on national security?
No, the law is very clear that the executive branch has the right to be able to make decisions on immigration in areas especially dealing with national security.
Okay, another specific question. That ruling talked a lot about due process. What is the law, what does the Constitution say about due process for people who are not citizens of the United States of America?
So there's two steps that the court went through on this. One, it said due process is denied to American citizens, and they went back through and said there were some slowdowns, and they used the word detained, which is not an accurate word there. They know it legally. But when they went through all that, they were talking about American citizens. This was filed on the third day. On the fourth day after this was done, the administration had already cleared all this up and said legal permanent residents, American citizens, all those individuals can travel from these countries. The courts basically assumed they never said that, or said that the council that said that doesn't have the right to be able to say that. The president had to say it, not the counsel for the White House on it.
If you clarified the whole green card matter, which was done several days later, right. If you clarified legal visas for people who are here with a visa, want to travel overseas and come back, if you accounted for those two groups, would this order stand under this court or not?
Based on the writings of this court and the opinion of it, yes. What I recommended last night was the administration take a look at this and not go back and press it to court, to go back and clean up the document and to be able to make it clear what they made clear 4 days later. They should make clear the first day, and then to be able to push it out. There's no question the president has the right to be able to keep the nation safe. They're questioning, did American citizens and people with legal permanent status have the right to be able to move and to be able to travel? Yes. If that's ever restricted, they push back against it.
So you're saying go back, rewrite the order, and you're good.
That's what I would say on it.
Secretary Kelly was at a hearing the other day. This was Tuesday morning in Washington when he was asked about this and talked about the consequences. Watch it.
In their courtrooms, they're protected by people like me. So they can have those discussions. And if something happens bad from letting people in, they don't come to the judge to ask him about his ruling. They come to people like me.
What do you think about that, Senator?
I think that would be the opposite for the next few weeks here. If something bad were happening, obviously all of us hopes that it doesn't. I think they would go to those judges and would say what just happened there. The key issue is Secretary Kelly from Homeland Security has the responsibility to be able to keep us safe. The president obviously has that same responsibility. It's interesting to be able to set this ruling side by side with President Obama's ruling when 2.5 years ago he came out and gave legal status to 4.5 million people just on a whim on an executive order. The courts pressed back on that all the way to the Supreme Court. This is a very different type of ruling. This ruling is basically saying a small group of Americans didn't get due process. President Obama was trying to give legal status to people that were not Americans. So I would say on this ruling, go back and to be able to clarify it, reimpose it, be able to check and make sure that anyone coming into our country is a country that we have vetted.
Do you think we're at risk as the process plays out legally?
We are not at a point right now where there's a heightened sense of risk on something specific, but we have been at a heightened general risk for months and months and months, in fact, several years now. There are real threats of those individuals moving through the refugee process and asylum process in Europe, and multiple of those individuals have carried out terrorist attacks in Europe. So this is something that is planned, that is something that ISIS works on and tries to be able to move. This is not a non-issue, and it's entirely reasonable for the president to be able to say, let's just check our process. We're going to go back and reopen our borders. We're going to go back and do all that, but let's make sure we're vetting correctly before we do it.
Okay, Senator Lankford out of Oklahoma, there on the Hill. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Bill.
Very interesting comment, especially there at the end of this.